Hello and welcome back to Matt Hayes' Tottenham blog and today's live match review for our disappointing draw at Molineux yesterday. I'm joined by Dakota Booth from Podspur TV, the Irish Yid, David Harris, and CharlieTHFC as well. We'll start with you, Dakota. We haven't seen you in a while. How are you getting on?
Yeah, I think I could be doing better based on results, but overall, I'm still alive, still breathing, so things could definitely be worse.
Of the positive outlook, David. How are you today?
Look, I was vexed today getting out of bed. I'm going to be honest with you. Usually I'm the positive one, but I was angry. But look, I've had my Spurs therapy today, so I'll probably be a bit easier on this show today.
Good. We'll the game today. Charlie, welcome back to the channel. How are you?
Yeah, as always, thanks for having me on, Matt, on your channel. And yeah, I'm similar to David in a way. I've had my therapy today. I was pretty angry last night and this morning, just the way it keeps happening, which we'll get onto later on, I'm sure. But yeah, it's I've had a lot of therapy today on my streams and on David's channel as well. But yeah, pleasure to be on as always, Matt. So yeah, thank you for having me on as always.
Thank you for joining us, Charlie, and thank you to the other two as well. There'll be links to all of their channels down in the description below. When you do enjoy what they have to say, you might want to check them out. All that will be available down there for you. You may have seen yesterday as well, but Fabrizio Romano will be back on this channel on the Tottenham Fan Voice podcast in January. So make sure to subscribe down below if you don't want to miss that. We're also going to have we're live streaming every single day this week. So again, if you want to keep up with that, make sure to smash the subscribe button. And the January transfer window is well and truly up and running. So we're going to have constant videos on that, giving you all the updates you need to know. So again, you know what to do. And if you are interested in becoming a channel member as well, just hit the join button down below and everything will be explained for you there. And without further ado, I think we'll dive into things. Jamie, Viper, Simon and Jack all to the stream as well. It was the same old story last night. We played defensive football. We tried to defend a 1-goal lead and it cost us 2 points. Dakota, we'll start with you. How frustrated were you watching that game last night?
Yeah, I was particularly frustrated because looking at the lineup with 3 at the back and attacking wingbacks, I was expecting us to come out, especially with Davinson Sanchez being one of the center backs, for us to play a high pressing line and really get after the ball offensively. And that's not really what happened. And maybe we scored a little too early, honestly, and we just got a little bit complacent. And I talked about this yesterday on the Podspur podcast, but I think what this really comes down to is a little bit of arrogance from Jose Mourinho, thinking, okay, we scored 1 goal, that's good enough against this team, whoever this team may be. And as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, that's not really the case. You need at least 2 goals in this Premier League in this season, and we're getting 1 and then kind of sitting on it and hoping for a second, which is not good enough.
Yeah, it's so frustrating to see, and it's just the same mistakes over and over again, which is it's weird to see from such an experienced manager, David. And it was something that you mentioned last night on the live watch along, that as soon as Wolves got that goal, we looked capable of going and causing them problems in their final third. And the very same thing happened against Palace. As soon as they found that equaliser, we looked dangerous going forward, and we looked like we could actually hurt them. Why do you think Mourinho doesn't want to kill off these games, and why does he wait until we absolutely need a goal before he goes out and tries to get a second?
Yeah, sorry, first of all, where's my manners? Thanks for having me on. I can't believe I didn't say that. My apologies. And big up the court as well in the Ireland jersey. Love it. But yeah, back to your question, Matty. Look, for me, like a lot of people are talking about going on the offensive for me. Well, look, when you have your defenders who can't do the basics, who can't pick a pass to the player in the same shirt, they can't get your midfielders on the ball, we can't go on the offensive. We can't. And that's why we're being penned in for so long. And then it's like, as soon as the other team score, the players are afraid they're going to get a bollocking off Mourinho when they get in. So then they go and try and make amends for it. Look, as much as people want to blame Mourinho, I honestly don't think it is his fault. And I do stand by what I say. I honestly think we have to hold these players accountable. They're the same players that let us down on the pitch when the crunch time came, and the same players that are letting us down under Mourinho when the crunch time came. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's individual mistakes. Again, you can't blame the manager for that. Mm-hmm. Again, it's down to players' mentality. A strong mentality. Where is it? And players not doing the basics. I'm pretty sure Mourinho does want to play more offensive and go for the kill. But when you have players that aren't passing the ball properly, that are taking 2 or 3 touches to get it under control, and then losing time that they would have on the ball to try and get the ball under control, and then you have players that have been overplayed and too tired purely because other players haven't stepped up when they've been given the opportunity. So we've had to play these guys to save the games and save our team. Personally, I don't think it is Mourinho's fault. I think it's down to the players not doing the basics right. Look, how many times did we sit down in the live watch along, Matty, yesterday and give out about misplaced passes?
Yeah,
easy passes.
Yeah, it happened quite a bit, and we made the point that, like, no matter what way Mourinho wants to play, the squad that he has now defensively, we aren't good enough to go and play the style of football we would have played under Pochettino, because we don't have the likes of Alderweireld and Vertonghen sitting there to tidy up everything. And even when it was Dyer dropping in between the 2 centre backs, we don't have Ndombele conducting the play from the middle of the park. And I can understand, as always, I can understand the frustration fans have when they say they don't want to see us play this sort of defensive football, because it's not the way Spurs play in any games against these teams. Like I said it, I can completely back that football when it is against the likes of Manchester City or against Arsenal, against Chelsea. First of all, because we're playing teams who are among the best teams in the league. I know I said Arsenal there, but look, and you can understand it there. But when we're playing against the likes of Wolves, against Palace, teams that we should be comfortably beating, there's no reason that we shouldn't go and comfortably beat them. But maybe the defense just isn't there. Mourinho doesn't trust that defense. And last night, I think we were right to go the sort of defensive approach, because if we'd gone out playing fully attacking football, imagine what would have happened if Adama Traore, Pedro Neto and Daniel Podence were running at Ben Davies and Dyer. We'd been destroyed. Wolves could have scored 3, 4, 5 times against us, because look, that defense can't cope with it. And I tweeted out today, and the best way I can put it is, as a defensive unit, we are the best in the league, and no one can prove otherwise. No one can make me disagree with that, because we've conceded 5 goals from open play this season in 15 games. However, when it comes to set pieces, be it a corner or a free kick into the box, all of a sudden, when there's reliance on individual players to deal with something, they are unable to do it. Ben Davies lost his man last night. Eric Dyer lost his man for Firmino to score. It was a silly handball from Dyer in the Newcastle game after the new directives had come in just before that. As soon as there's reliance on these individual players, we just are not good enough. And it's a big concern. And Charlie, we were talking there before the stream about Milan Skriniar and Sergio Ramos, potential centre-backs that could be coming in. And anyone watching, I will be doing a January transfer window preview on Thursday. So if you want to hear more on those, make sure to stick around for that one. But Charlie, do you think one defender, whether it is Skriniar or if it is Sergio Ramos or anyone else, do you think one defender can really make much of a difference to this team?
It's hard to say, really, because, like, first of all, we don't know what difference we'd make. We can't say it without sort of knowing it, if you know what I mean. But I think it definitely could. I think it really could. That's just my personal opinion, anyway. I think you look at how Van Dijk transformed Liverpool. Just came in there, slotted in straight away, and just made their defence 10 times better. And that's what I said in the summer with Skriniar. I was saying all summer, if we get Skriniar, he'll make our defence 10 times better. It's as simple as that. I was saying that the whole summer. So I really, really do think someone like Ramos or Skriniar would definitely improve our defence. Of course, add a much needed height in there. And also, interestingly, what Gaffey said on David's stream earlier about sort of world-class players. Do we realistically have a world-class centre-back in our team? Because you look at Toby, yes, he was, but he's do you consider him world-class now because of his age? I think if you were to get someone like Skriniar alongside him, then you can consider that a world-class back too, I think. But as Matt, as you said there, about the set pieces, it's as you said there, I do believe as well, as a unit, as an organisation from open play, our defence is up there with the best in the league. But it's these individual mistakes and brain farts and these old frailties that keep coming back and costing us. And it's just the Wolves game was a carbon copy of Crystal Palace. It just was. I knew it was coming. I said from when we scored, I was like, let's just hope. I was screaming that whole second half, saying, just go for the second goal. I was like, we have to get that second goal. Otherwise, you just know what's going to happen. And look what happened. It's so predictable. Yeah. And I think we'll get on to more. I'm sure we'll talk about that more later on. But I think in terms of what you said, I think, another centre-back is needed for me. A proper commanding positional one. Because you look at Toby, very good at his positional awareness is very good. If you look at someone like Dyer, it lets him down. His passing's poor as well. So I think someone like Skriniar would definitely improve things up for me 100%. So, yeah.
Matty, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, you can.
do you know the way you were saying about like against the bigger teams, the tactics you're happy to sit there and watch them, and against the smaller teams you're not.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a case of actually the players being up for the bigger games and not the smaller games?
Look, it's a good point. I think it does come into it. You know, you're always going to be more motivated to go out and beat a team who you think is your title challenger compared to a team that maybe you think you should be beating. Like we look at that Newcastle game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, for example. It's a game they would have felt they should have won. And I think there will always be that motivation to win the bigger games more. But there should be enough motivation to win every single game, no matter who it is playing against. Exactly. And there's these reports kind of creeping in the last week or two that the players are becoming a bit frustrated with the style of football that they're playing. And more so than they're getting frustrated with the style of football, I think they're getting frustrated that the way they're playing isn't yielding results. Because after the game against City, after the game against Arsenal, they would have been delighted. You know, when they were going home on the bus that day, when they were going home, going into bed at night, they wouldn't have been thinking about, oh, we played defensive football today. They'd be thinking, we just beat Man City, we just beat Arsenal, whatever it is. It's that amazing buzz they're getting from those games. And while that will always be there more for these bigger games, I think no matter what the situation is, you should have motivation to win every single game. You should have enough love for the club, enough like kind of self-confidence, I suppose. I don't know if that's the word, to win every single game you play. So I think the style of football does come into it maybe a bit more than motivation or anything like that.
And also, also, do you think that what was I going to say? Sorry, go ahead. The question will come back to me.
Yeah, so you're talking about, you know, maybe they don't get up and maybe they're frustrated with the results from the style of play rather than the actual style of play. That's on the players, man. We could have and should have scored 5 or 6 goals against Crystal Palace, and we scored 1. We could have and should have scored 3 or 4 against Liverpool, and we scored 1. We had our chances against Leicester City even. We scored none. So, yes, the style of play is maybe taxing or boring. I don't mind the style of play at all, as long as we finish these chances. When we stop finishing these chances and we blow games, or we drop all of these points that we have over the last 2 weeks, that's when the style of play becomes an issue, and that comes down to the players taking their chances rather than just, okay, let's score 1 and defend and hope for a point or hope for 3 points. It's not good enough.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree completely.
It's come back to me. Just with the players, like the thing is, the way I see it is that these tactics would have worked, only that the individual errors have cost us these last few games. Individual error against Palace, right? First of all, poor area to give the free kick away. Second of all, Lloris should have caught it, right? So then you go on to the Liverpool game. Dyer, you know, his fault. He just collapsed on the ground. He should have stood up. He should have been a man. You know, he should have expected some little trick like that from Henderson and Liverpool. Again, another individual mistake. Then you look at Wolves game or Leicester. Sissoko not tracking Vardy. Individual mistake. And then you look yesterday, Davies letting his man run off him like that. Individual mistake. So my point is that these tactics got him to the top of the league, and they were working. But what's cost us over the last couple of games is individual player mistakes, not the tactics.
Yeah. You can't put that down to a manager. You know, there was people complaining, and we get a bit more on the individual performances last night a little bit later, but there were people complaining about Ben Davies being chosen for this game because he lost his man, which led to the Wolves equaliser. But tactically, it was a brilliant decision to play Ben Davies because him and Reguilon out on that left-hand side kept Adama Traore quiet for the whole game. So up until the 86th minute, and I'll play a clip in a bit. I tweeted it out how me, David, and Marcelo on the watch along, we were praising Ben Davies to the hilt because of how good he was, and then literally 5 seconds later, he let his man go from a corner. So I will play that in a bit. Let's upload it to the website. It was just perfect.
You guys need to stop talking about how good or bad Ben Davies is, because he always does the opposite of whatever.
It happened on Wednesday as well when we were saying how bad he was, and then he put one in from 25 yards out. The English Yid here, channel member, saying, "Hi guys, do you think the problem is Mourinho needs to get more of his own players in because he's still got some potch players still at the club but weak mentality?"
Yeah, definitely.
What's your opinion? Yeah, we'll come to you, Charlie, first on that one.
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of the problem. I think if you're looking at solely the game yesterday, how my take on it is that I think you have to blame the players and Mourinho yesterday. I think that's purely based on the game yesterday. But if you look at other games, And there's some games in there where there's just individual, like West Ham, for example. I don't think that was Mourinho's fault because we had a 3-goal lead. We attacked in that game. So I think there's definitely a point to be made there. I think there's too many players in this club that are just simply not good enough. We've seen that from the Europa League games that we're having to call upon the likes of Kane and Son. And that's why they're knackered. That's why they were poor yesterday, because they're absolutely knackered, because they've been been running to the ground, because they've been forced to come off the bench or whatever it is in Europa League and save us, because other players aren't stepping up and getting the goals, and it's just the same here. You look at players like Sanchez, Davies, Winks, the three that stand out, maybe even Dele you can put in there. Just these guys are Poch's players. These guys are not Mourinho players. It's clear to see, and I think there does need to be a bit of a shift, an overhaul in a way, with sort of fringe players, because I've come to a conclusion now where I feel that squad depth, we were talking about our squad and everything for the season when we had the transfer window, but for me that's a myth now. It's a clear myth, because how can you have a good squad if you're only relying on 2 players to have individual brilliance? How is that possible? And I think it's a myth. It's simply a myth, to be honest. And I think, it's, again, some players, the ones that make individual mistakes, if you're a player that does that playing for Tottenham, you're not good enough. End of. And I think that something has to change. I saw Ben say it on We Are Tottenham TV. Something has to change. We don't quite know what it is, but something has to change with the way we keep persisting with the same tactics and the way that individual mistakes keep happening. So I think based on the game yesterday, Mourinho and the players have to take blame, but there's something in this club that has to change, and I don't quite know what it is. It could be anything. So we'll have to wait and see if anything is addressed, to be honest.
Yeah, before we go to Dakota on that one, I just want to say massive thank you to Dick W for becoming a YouTube channel member. You get access to custom emojis and little icons beside your name as well. So big thank you to you, Dick. If anyone else is interested in becoming a channel member, just click the join button down below, and everything will be explained for you there. Membership starting at just £1.99 per month. And Mr. K here and Simon Cohen agreeing with you on that one,
Cheers.
Charlie. Dakota, what do you think about this squad? Do you think it's still a Poch squad and that Jose needs a bit more time to make it his own?
Yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting question. One of the first things that Jose Mourinho said when he came into this position as Spurs manager was that the squad did not need an overhaul, that they had all the pieces to be successful. They needed to just have a couple tweaks, 1 or 2 upgrades or some depth added, and this squad was ready to roll. So here we are a year later saying, okay, maybe that wasn't exactly the case. And that could be as simple as players haven't bought in as much as they need to for this Jose system to work. Or maybe Jose thought that they had a certain skill set and it just doesn't work in this system that he wants to play. I'm thinking of Davinson Sanchez when I say that, which, to be fair, Jose Mourinho probably thought that of Davinson before he even got into the squad, based on his thoughts and what he said to Davinson about his time at Ajax. When Jose was playing against him, his whole game plan was based around making Davinson Sanchez make mistakes, and it worked in that game. And that's probably why we're seeing a lot less of Dave these days. But I think if we are going to really challenge for some trophies this year, whether or not we get more players in, I think is a moot point if we're not going to play them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Vinicius has 12 minutes in the Premier League this season.
Ridiculous.
12 minutes. And they were at the same time as Harry Kane.
Yeah, but the worst part is for me,
Kane off and bringing him on.
It was a really good 12 minutes. I think he's the reason he got that win against West Brom, because he's running in behind the defense, creating a space for Harry Kane, which is it's just so upsetting that after doing so well. And I saw someone a while ago saying he shouldn't play because he hasn't proven himself against the big teams in the Premier League. He hasn't had a chance.
Exactly.
He's assisted against every team he's played against.
With Vinicius as well, right? People talk about our right wing situation. People forget Vinicius can also play out wide as a player. So I think why not give him a goal on the right wing? Give him a go on the right wing. With all the problems we've been talking about the right wing, give Vinicius a go there. It can't be any worse. You know what I mean? It can't be any worse. Vinicius deserves a chance. I was so annoyed when I didn't see him on the bench yesterday, and we know now that's something to do with COVID or whatever. But so fair enough. But in previous games, like there's a few games, maybe against Brighton, against someone else. Why is he not in the squad? Why are players like Winks and stuff getting in ahead of him? Yeah. Where is Vinicius? He should be on the bench. Mourinho was crying out for a striker all summer. He gets one and he's not using him enough, I feel. When he's meant to be a player that we can bring off the bench and sort of have changed the game and stuff. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a trust issue. I have no idea what it is. Do you guys have any idea what it is?
Yeah, I no idea. But the point that I was trying to make is it doesn't matter who we bring in January if we're not going to play them. Yeah, because we've got a squad that can, at the very minimum, give Harry Kane and Heung-min Son a rest. If we're going to rely on them all season, they need more rest than everybody. They're not getting it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like it just shows you that we've just been way too reliant on them this season, and other players need to step up. And I just don't get what it is. Is it a mentality thing or an ability thing or both? Is it what do you guys think it is? I'll put you guys on the spot here.
It's a mixture of both, Charlie. You said you didn't know what the problem was. I can tell you the problem. I've been saying it all along. It's these posh players with the mentality and the lack of ability. I don't know how many times I have to say this. Like at the end of the day, they let us down when it came to the crunch and the posh, and they're doing the same thing under Mourinho. The thing is, we can't keep changing the manager when the manager's not the problem, because if you do that, you're going to end up like that shit across the road, Arsenal. Right? You're going to end up like them. And now suddenly they come to a realisation the crop of players they have aren't good enough. When are we going to wake up and start addressing the issue? The issue is these players, when called upon, aren't good enough. They don't have the ability, they don't have the mentality. And that's why we haven't won anything. Like, the thing is, if they aren't buying into the Jose tactics, how dare they? This man has more trophies than all that squad put together.
Yeah.
So how dare they? How dare they not buy into it? The guys want everything in club football, and they don't want to buy into it. How dare they? Honestly, it's a disgrace if that's the case. And if that's the case, that's why they don't win anything, because they don't want to listen to people that have been there and done it.
And it's what I said as well on the stream. I think it was after the Liverpool game or the Leicester game. I said, is there a certain players? Is there a core of players? Because don't forget, in the summer, yes, we brought in 7 players, so I don't want to include them in this, right? But you mustn't forget as well, only the likes of Kyle Walker-Peters, Jan Vertonghen left, right? There's still a massive core of players that were part of the staleness last season, right? So, is there a problem there where there's a certain core of players that are downing tools? Again, is that a problem? Is there a situation where it comes to downing tools, like we saw sort of in the early stages of Mourinho, not sort of his first couple of games, but sort of this time last year when we were like losing to Southampton and stuff, and drawing with Norwich and stuff? There was talk of players downing tools. Is there a core of players still downing tools? I'm just confused.
No. I don't know. I don't know if it's a case of players down in tools. It's players are tired, and I think it's as simple as that. You know, we spoke about this last night. It's a good time now, I think, to get into the talking about these individual performances. And I want to start with Harry Kane, because we saw in the last 2 or 3 weeks, Harry Kane has done absolutely nothing. He's done nothing on the pitch of any benefit to us. He lost possession 19 times last night, which is more than any Spurs player on the pitch. And for me, it's concerning that people are reluctant to point out how ineffective Harry Kane has been, because in that game against Crystal Palace, Sergio Reguilon, he lost possession 19 times and everyone was on his back saying how bad a performance it was. Kane has now done the exact same thing and people aren't talking about it because he's Harry Kane. But when I say it, I'm not giving out to Harry Kane at all. Yeah. I'm not criticising Harry Kane. He's being over-relied on and he's being overplayed. This season is the most congested season we're ever going to have in terms of fixtures, because the season started on the 12th of September, which is a month later than it usually starts. It's ending at the same time. We've had 3 qualifying rounds in the Europa League, and for some reason, someone decided to play 3 international games over each international break. So these players, aside from the fact that they're playing every 90 minutes for all of their both clubs, their club and national team, it's more games than it's ever been, and it's ridiculous that anyone actually thinks these players should be able to play all these games. But it's even more ridiculous when it's our manager that thinks they can actually do that. Why isn't Carlos Vinicius being played? He's proved himself. He's 3 goals and 3 assists in the Europa League. If I remember correctly, Harry Kane started in the Europa League. That's when we realised how good he was, and then he came out and he was able to do it in the Premier League stage. We cannot rely on these players this much. And I said it yesterday, I don't want to see Harry Kane against Fulham, and I don't want to see Højbjerg against Fulham, because they're being overplayed. Højbjerg was involved in 9 duels yesterday and he only won 2 of them.
He was knackered.
He was terrible yesterday. Yeah. He was absolutely terrible, but it's not his fault. He cannot be relied on too much. Now, I said this on the We Are Tottenham TV post-match show yesterday, and they said to me, that's all well and good saying that, but who do we play instead? Look at that squad we had yesterday. We had, of course, 11 players on the pitch, 9 players on the bench. I think it was a strong starting 11. We had a strong bench as well. And
Gareth Bale, Giovanni Lo Celso, Lucas Moura, and Carlos Vinicius weren't even there. So for me, that's 24 really good players that we have at our disposal. David, why isn't he rotating?
Look, first of all, on the Harry Kane thing, Matty, I actually said it after the Liverpool game. I said it after the Leicester game. I'm not afraid to call out these players if they haven't done anything. And I fully agree with you. We do have to call out these players. The reason why, not that I'm reluctant to do it, but like the guy has credit in the bank, and you have to forgive him, Matty. You have to forgive him. It's not his fault he's playing every minute possible.
Yeah, I agree.
But for me, it comes down to, look, the Stoke game was a must win. If we lost that, fans would be going absolutely ballistic, right? And I think it's a trust thing. It's a trust issue with Mourinho. Let's be honest, it's a trust issue. Like Lucas Moura, you mentioned, right? Obviously, he probably wasn't involved because of how close he is with Vinicius, and apparently Vinicius has something to do with COVID, right? So, you can understand him not being there yesterday. But the thing is, Lucas hasn't been good enough. Yeah. He has no end product. We know that. You go to Lamela. He's been our best right winger this season, but the guy can't stay fit, and it's the same every season. You go on to Ben Davies. He's the backup for Reguilon. Now, I've been calling since the start of the season to give Sirkin a go, because he can't be any worse than Davies. You can sit here and praise Ben Davies for 87 minutes if you want. At the end of the day, he cost us 2 points yesterday. People are very reluctant to call out that as well yesterday, I found. Very reluctant to call out Ben Davies losing his man. And at the end of the day, it's that individual mistake that cost us 2 points. And they're saying it wasn't him. That's not the reason why, but it was. It was, because if he followed his man and marked his man and stayed switched on like he's supposed to do, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. And for me, he had a bad game now, because you can't. A game is 90 plus minutes. It's 90 plus minutes. I actually went back and watched a bit of the watch along today, and we were giving out about another mistake he made just after that goal. Do you know what I mean? So for me, look, the guy, you can't praise. You do not praise a player for 87 minutes. You don't do it. It's individual mistakes that are costing us. And like the simple thing, the simple answer to the question is, Matty, is that our players just aren't good enough. They're just not good enough. And the thing is, the reason why I'm calling that out now is because I want to win trophies. I don't want to be like some of these fans sitting here for 40 years, lifting nothing, Matty, lifting nothing. And it's purely because they've been too easy and haven't put the pressure on. They haven't put the pressure on the players. They haven't put the pressure on the board to sign the better players. We've just sat there and been happy with what's come in instead of going out and getting the best players possible. And the players just aren't capable. They've let us down time and time again. And when you have players making individual mistakes, you don't win anything. You don't see any Liverpool players making that many individual mistakes as much as we do.
And even on the odd times they do, it's highlighted a lot. Reece Williams made a mistake that nearly led to a West Brom goal last night, and it's being highlighted, even though he's a young player. It's something you don't often see in that Liverpool team. And just as you mentioned the watch along here, I have the clip ready. It was Rob Hogan who pointed this out to me on Twitter. He's a member of the live chat right now. This is if you don't know, on Wednesday watching the Stoke game, me, David, and Marcelo were criticising Ben Davies the whole way through, and then he went and scored him from 25 yards, and he outdid us yesterday as we were praising him for a fantastic performance. As we were praising him, Ben Davies made a mistake which led to us dropping 2 points. So look, just enjoy this one.
Priori up against Davies here.
Davies handled pretty well.
Well done, Davies.
I'd say Davies is actually handling him pretty well, man. Like I said, honestly, he's up there for man of the match, in my opinion.
I think in that case, the edges of us. Davies be a close second.
Honestly, I'm giving it to Davies. I'm not gonna lie, unless he doesn't fuck up these next 5 minutes.
I never thought I'd see today, Marcelo.
Listen, look. I'm a man that I don't care.
Fuck off! Fuck! Set pieces of fucking game! Jesus!
It's a beautiful Christmas. Oh,
fuck
man.
off!
Yep.
Jesus Christ! Man! It's set pieces again!
Gotta love it. You gotta love it. All on Jose. Your fault. Sorry.
Look, the players don't even know who to pick up. Look at them.
Ben Davies, who's supposed to be marking him.
Oh, Marcelo, stop playing this guy.
His man. Harry Kane not strong enough going in the challenge, and Wolves have an equaliser in the 86th minute. I think we deserved it just from the way we were going on about Ben Davies, that he's the man who really individual error there. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. Crazy stuff. Arthur Everett, channel member, saying that's true. If the players making mistakes in the last games, Jose has trained them. They're not doing it. It's not Jose. We need more defense players. It's not Jose. We need more defensive players. Sell Delhi and get Jose players. And Paul Markey, another channel member, saying Jose needs to read the club motto, to dare is to do. He needs to realise that attack is also part of the game. Players are tiring and working continuously in defence mode and getting disillusioned.
Matt, can I just address that?
You can, of course.
Right, the club motto is to dare is to do. I get that, right? We've done that under Pochettino. What did we win for it? Absolutely nothing. So, right, we're trying it a different way. Like, and the reason why it's not working is because the players. So if to dare is to do, why don't we start going and daring and getting the best players and doing it?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And like, I think, you can say all you want how we prefer to see this type of football, but Jose Mourinho's playing football that has proven is enough to win titles. So I think, as you were saying, David, if the players aren't buying into it, how dare they? Because it's the football that at the moment is most likely to bring them some sort of success. Simon saying I made a mistake. I got married 36 years ago. You okay, Simon? I want to talk as well about Harry Winks making his 100th appearance for Spurs last night. As I was saying, our midfield is quite poor. Højbjerg was involved in 9 duels. He lost 7 of them. Harry Winks was involved in 8 duels. He lost 6 of them. It was probably an area of the pitch where we struggled with. Actually, I want to get to a member's comment here. I didn't get the chance to read out a while ago. Deck saying, Matt, do you think if we were getting less corners and set pieces, will we be conceding all these goals? We invite pressure on the defence in every game, 10 or more corner or set pieces per game. I don't think we have a choice. As I was saying, with the defence we have, it's just too dangerous to play open, expansive football because we can be caught on the counter-attack. So I'd rather have to defend 10 set pieces in a game than 10 counter-attacks against Adama Traore when we're playing Ben Davies and Eric Dyer in centre-back. And look, I know it's disappointing, but I just think that's the way we have to do it, unfortunately. But back to Harry Winks. Some people saying last night, David, I know you said that you're done with him. That was his last chance to prove himself. What do you think the next step is for Winks?
Look, Matty, at the end of the day, the fans got what they want. Let's be honest. They've been calling for Winks. We gave them Winks, even though me, you, and other people, we don't want him there. We know he's not good enough. We gave them Winks. He was awful yesterday, and now they want to short the blame onto Mourinho instead of calling out the players again that let us down. He's not good enough. And for me, look, we're not going to sell him in January. I honestly don't think that's going to happen unless he forces the move. And we also have to remember, he also went into Jose. He also had the audacity to go into Jose Mourinho's office, right, and ask for game time and then come out with that. Honestly, let's be real here. Like, he had the audacity to go in and ask for game time. Boss, give me more game time. I want to play. And he comes out with that yesterday. But we gave the fans what we want. It's kind of a situation with Winks. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Mourinho can't win on the situation. But one thing I want to do is try and help Mourinho win on the situation, because at the end of the day, I will call out players if they're not good enough. I don't want them here. I want to see armpit hairs. I want to see our arms raised. I want trophies. And these players are not good enough. He's not good enough. I don't think he is going to be sold in January. Unless he asks for a move. If he asks for a move, I'll wish him on with my best of luck, with the best of luck. But the thing is, I think it's more going to be a summer if we let him go. When we have Ollie Skip back at the club. That's what I think the situation would be.
Yeah, I think Skip definitely has a future at the club. I know a lot of people keep an eye on him at Norwich. He has a future at Spurs, and potentially he could be the player that could replace Harry Winks. But Dakota, Winks, he plays well in the Europa League for us, and he plays well in the Carabao Cup for us, and potentially in the second half of the season he could play well in the FA Cup for us. Do you think he's one that we could just keep in the long term as a utility player?
I think he can definitely fit into that role. He's got and I don't think David is going to like what I have to say about this, but I'm going to say it anyway. He's got that intangible thing of he's got that passion of playing for the badge that a lot of players on the pitch don't have and haven't shown. And I know that is not going to score goals. It's not going to win us points. But at the end of games, maybe that's gonna make a difference. Maybe he's gonna play for the badge, or maybe he's gonna hold someone else accountable, saying, "Hey, stop playing like shit. You're wearing a Spurs badge on your shirt. Play like you love that thing." Mm-hmm. And the rebuttal to that is, well, he needs to do the same. Okay.
If you want to see passion, me, Charlie, and Matty can give you passion. Any one of us can go out on Dwight Hart and passion.
I feel you. But we're not playing, right?
Yeah,
and we're not paid $200 grand a week.
Yeah, Well, neither does Harry Winks.
He's paid a lot. He's paid a lot. That's the thing.
He is. But I think he's useful as a squad player. But if we're in a position where he's going to be starting, which probably means that Pierre-Emile Højbjerg has gone down, we're going to be in a world of trouble because Højbjerg has been the difference in the midfield for us this season, and that's why he needs a break on Wednesday, like you were talking about earlier, Matt. Højbjerg, Son, and Harry Kane, just stay home. Just stay home on Wednesday.
Yeah,
I don't care what happens. Just stay home.
We should definitely still have enough to be Fulham. And Gaffy is saying here, players love to play for Jose. Look at the quotes of past players. Schneider, Ibrahimovic, Essien, Eto'o, Drogba. They all played under Guardiola but stated they would die for Jose. Kane, Son and Højbjerg have bought in. And Charlie, could it be a case of just like giving these players time to buy in? Because like as Gaffy says, Kane, Son, Højbjerg already have. There's a few others there you could argue maybe have Serge Aurier, one of them, Moussa Sissoko as well, Sergio Reguilon. Do you think it's just a case of waiting? And Ndombele as well, of course. Is it just a case of waiting for these players to buy in? Or do we have to look at it as, well, if you're not bought in after a year, why, like, you shouldn't be here anymore? Does it all come back to Jose building his own squad?
It could be. There's always that possibility that it could be a sort of it takes time. And you saw the 7 players we brought in. It's going to take time for that to gel overall. And I think, look, it could be time. But at the end of the day, some of the players that we're talking about here that haven't bought in, these are players that have let us down for years under Pochettino. You can even go, I don't actually know, I was going to say you can go back as far as AVB, but I don't think any of them are still here, to be honest. But you look at under Pochettino, a lot of these guys have let us down. They've bottled it. They've showed no desire, no fight in North London derbies and Champions League finals. So I think it can't be, because some players, you saw certain players, I know luckily the likes of Ericsson are gone, Danny Rose is not in the squad, so those two were poisons. They were just actual poisons last year. But I think there is certain players there that just, I don't know, they just don't have the mentality, and they've let us down for years. And like people forget we gave Davies and Winks new contracts. I think it was last year, was it? We gave both of them new contracts. And I'm just like, come on, like, have they done enough to sort of merit that, if you know what I mean? Have they done enough to sort of get to merit that? And I think, look, as you said, it could take time. But the thing is, at the end of the day, the fact that players have bought into it and some haven't, the ones that haven't, I just don't see it, because they just don't. They've let us down before, and I just don't see how that's going to change, to be honest. I really don't, and it pains me to say it, to be honest, for some players, because we want all of the squad on board, but unfortunately, there's just certain players in there that just simply aren't good enough. It's that simple. It's that simple, and just don't suit the way we play either. And so it could be Matt. It's a possibility.
Just on that contract thing, like if you reward crap, you get crap. Do you know what I mean? If that was me, I would have turned around to them and said, I'm going to give you less money you're on because you're not doing the job. So it's up to you whether you want to stay here, sign that, fight for your place, and go for a new bigger contract, or do you want to leave? We can't, like, no other club that wins trophies rewards their players with new contracts when they've been virtually existed at the club for I don't know how many years. No other team that has ambition of winning trophies reward players like that.
On that point, even if it's just rewarding players that are crap, let's talk about Dele Alli and his contract. I don't remember the exact moment he signed his new contract, but I do know he is contracted until at Spurs until 2024. I don't know off the top of my head, but could there be a correlation there between him getting that new contract and the drop in form? Because with the way he's playing now, I can't imagine we'd make him sign a 5-6 year contract.
I remember when that was signed. It was signed the summer where we didn't spend any money. That's the summer we signed, I think, him and Lamela to both new contracts. And you mustn't forget, maybe that's what it was, because you mustn't forget the season before that, 17-18, that was underwhelming compared to 16-17, if you remember that. Dele Alli 17-18 was decent. It's obviously if you were to give that to us now, we'd happily take it because of the way he is. But compared to what he was the previous 2 years, it was poor.
Villa scored.
And I think, yes, Villa scored. Come on. And but yeah, look, as I said, maybe it is affecting him. He's on like 150 grand a week or something. Maybe the money is affecting him, and that's the problem we've talked about with Dele Alli. That is, he sort of got to a situation where like he just doesn't have anything to give, simply because of his sort of the way he is, how he sees money, how he sees football. I don't know what it is. It could be that Matt. It well could be the contract that sort of affected him.
There's a question here by the English Yid saying, Matt, what's the latest on Son's contract? Because do you think he's having second thoughts? If not, why ain't he signed it yet? I think it's just a waiting game with this.
No, that will get done. That will get done.
I think that'll be signed. I'm not sure why it hasn't been signed yet. But look, over the Christmas period, I'm sure a lot of people in the club have.
I think the reason why it hasn't been signed, it's to do with the agents. I think it was a sort of dilemma, and they wanted, I think, it's sort of dilemma between 6 and 5 years. I think, and as well the wages. I think they wanted 250. The club were offering 200. So, but it's going to get done. I'm so certain of that it will get done. Son's contract. I'm really confident of that.
Yeah, Michael here saying Jose Mourinho out the Irish Yid in. Well, I'm sure David would be happy to take the reins if he was given anywhere near the amount of money Jose Mourinho is getting as well.
Well, I tell you what, if not, even if I'm not the manager, get me on the coaching staff, because I'd definitely be cracking the whip with some of these boys. Honestly, like the one thing I question is, right, some players know they're not good enough. Are they out there doing extra to be better? I don't think so. I think they come in, they do the training, they're going home. Where's the dedication to want to be better, to strive to win things, to win trophies? If I was a manager of the club, that's what I'd be bringing.
Yeah, well, I think we'll do our best there. We'll send a petition, David, to get you on that coaching staff somewhere.
Yeah.
Tyler here is asking or saying incoming Sabitzer and a decent centre back. I suppose we'll wrap up the stream with this, guys. I'm going to come to each of you and ask you what one player would you realistically bring into Tottenham this summer? We'll start with you, Dakota.
Well, you threw the word realistically in there, which takes off my top two, which is Sergio Ramos. So, realistically, I think defense is going to be where we need to go. So, based purely on links, I think Milan Skriniar is going to be my pick.
It's a good shout. Charlie, we go with you next.
If we can't get Paulo Dybala and Ramos.
I think you need to let it go, Dakota.
I had a sort of similar thought to Dakota just then about realistic, like, because I've got a few. There's a point I want to make as well, right? If you're narrowing it down to one player, realistically for the summer, I think you'd have to say someone like Sabitzer, simply because he's going into the last year of his contract and the fee's going to be a bit cheaper. And I think I can definitely see that happening, especially if Dele leaves in January, to be honest. But there's another point I want to make when it comes to transfers, because for me, I said this on David's stream, right? For me, there's three certain players which I believe can take us to the top level to compete with someone like Liverpool consistently. And those three players, I'm going to tell you now, you got Milan Skriniar, the top world-class centre-back that we're missing in our team, I feel. Because remember what I said, well, we don't have a proper world-class centre-back. I know Toby was, but he's not quite that anymore because he's sort of aging. So I think bringing in someone like Skriniar, as I said, I feel would make our defence 10 times better, I feel. The next player is Marcel Sabitzer. I think we need more goals from other areas of the pitch, especially in midfield, because we're simply not getting enough from midfield. And I think he's a versatile player, can play out on the right wing as well. So I think Sabitzer will add creativity to our team, help us create more chances, and ease the pressure on Kane and Son a bit. I feel someone like Sabitzer, and he'd just be a quality addition. So yeah, that's the second one. The third one might surprise a few people, to be honest, but I think Bissouma of Brighton. I think you look at him. I think we have to start looking long-term for Sissoko replacements. You look at Sissoko, right? He's 30, 31 or whatever. I think we have to start looking to replace him long-term. However, this time, get someone that can pass and shoot. So you look at you look at Bissouma. I see him as a player. He's the exact same player as Sissoko. However, he can pass and shoot. He's got a great long shot on him, and he's got a decent enough passing range, and he's got the strength and physicality, and he's a lot younger. So I think those are the three players for me. If we can somehow get those three, whether that's in January or in the summer or one in whatever, I think those three can definitely elevate us another level. I think. I want to ask you guys about that. What do you think about those three players?
Do you want to take that, David? Go ahead, Dakota.
Yeah, the thing with I've heard a lot that people want to sign Marcel Sabitzer so he can come in and bang in goals. His highest goal and assist total in the Bundesliga for an entire season is 9 goals and 7 assists.
Better than any of our midfielders.
But he's not going to come in and be this like third guy with Harry Kane and
No.
Like we are kind of hoping and expecting.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there, Dakota. He's not going to be the man. Like he's not going to take the burden off Kane and Son. We're still going to need Kane and Son to be the main men. And it's just interesting. Last night, Tanguy Ndombele became the first player other than Kane and Son to score more than one goal in the league this season, which is really concerning. I think if you look at the other top 5, 6, 7, 8 clubs, I'm sure they all have more than 3 players who are just above 1 goal this season.
Yep.
It's definitely concerning. And Sabitzer, even though he's not a 20 goal and assist player a season, he's better in terms of end product than what we have at the club already. And last one, David, who, if you could bring in one player this January, who would it be?
Look, just because you said realistic, my number one target, if I was Daniel Levy, would be Jack Grealish. Honestly, Jack Grealish, the guy solves so many problems. He solves the homegrown problem. He's so good on the ball. He's calm. He's composed. He's also creative, and he scores goals. And he's not afraid to mix it together. He would solve all of our problems. Yeah. And but look, realistically, we need a centre back in, don't we? We do. We need a centre back in. And for me, it's either Skriniar, or as if you want to pay that sort of money for Skriniar, why not go and get the release clause for Upamecano and get him in?
Oh, 45 million.
Look, Jose Mourinho apparently wants a pacey left-footed centre back. And who?
David Alaba.
Yeah, look, that's a shout. I've seen.
He's a free. He's on a free.
Yeah, he's been pushed out of the left back place at Bayern Munich by Alphonso Davies, and he's been turned into a centre back. He would be a fantastic player. I saw a comment here a while ago. It's way back at the beginning of the stream, so I won't be able to find it. But he said Sergio Ramos has done everything in his career, so maybe going to the Premier League could be his last hurrah. You know, we saw Thiago Silva do it at Chelsea. Perhaps there is potential for that there. 92 Flamethrower saying Alistair Gold said foreign players will be difficult to bring in, which is definitely a concern. But look,
is that because of the Brexit, man?
No,
it's the
numbers for Europa League.
It's the foreign player thing, homegrown players, and it's annoying. Why do we always have this problem? We had it under Poch when he had to leave Lamella and Foyth out, remember? Like, why does this always happen to us? You look at Wolves, when I know they're not in Europe this season, but literally all their players are Portuguese. Literally. Apart from like Cody.
So small.
Apart from like Cody and Cody and a couple others, they're literally all foreign. Do they have this problem? That's what I want to know. The Wolves have come across this problem.
I don't know. Like
they usually keep a squad of only 23 players, and once you get to 24 or maybe 25, then all of the like regulations kick in. So they just keep a squad so small that they don't have to worry about it.
Right. Oh yeah, maybe.
Basically, we have this problem because we're just so good. Anyway, look,
yes.
I think look, we'll leave it there for today. There's a few things to say before we go. I'm live every single day this week, giving back for the huge support I've gotten in 2020. We'll be live tomorrow with a stream that I've forgotten about. I can't remember what that is. I'll let you know after. Wednesday. No, that's later in January. Wednesday we're live for a Fulham watch along, and Thursday we're live for a January transfer window preview. So I've seen a few people asking comments about transfers. Get them in on the Thursday show. We'll do our best to answer all of those. Live on Friday with the Tottenham Fan Voice podcast, and live on Saturday with Leeds match review. So please make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss any of that. As David just alluded to there, Fabrizio Romano will be back on the Tottenham Fan Voice podcast in January. I'm sorting out some final dates with him, so I'll let you know about that as soon as we possibly can. And look, Tottenham Hotspur Transfer Talk is back. The January transfer window is well and truly up and running. There's so much to talk about already. We've, in the last couple of days, the videos on Sabitzer, Skriniar, Ramos and Christian Eriksen. So make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss any of that. Thank you to Dakota, Charlie and David. And as I said, all their links in the description below. I'll be on Podspur TV on Wednesday after the Fulham games. Make sure to go and subscribe if you don't want to miss that. And I'm sure you see my face turning up every now and then on David and Charlie's channels as well. So you definitely want to go and check those out. Make sure to smash like on the stream if you have enjoyed this. And as always, to everyone who has joined us, thanks for watching.
Cool.